precious memories passed down from our ancestors. Hello everyone. Subscribe to my channel, hit the like button, and leave a comment. In 1908, photographer Edward S. Curtis captured a powerful image of Otsina warriors on horseback in north-central Montana, offering a striking glimpse into Native American life during a time of profound change. The photograph showcases the Otsina, also known as the Gros Ventre, who were historically known for their warrior culture and connection to the land. The image is steeped in the traditions of the Plains tribes, where horsemanship and military prowess were central to their way of life. The warriors, dressed in traditional regalia, carry the weight of their heritage and the struggle to maintain their culture in the face of encroaching settler society and federal policies aimed at eradicating indigenous traditions. Curtis, known for his extensive work documenting Native American tribes at the turn of the century, was both a documentarian and an artist. His photographs, while valuable for preserving the history and cultural practices of various tribes, have also been criticized for romanticizing Native American life. In this particular photograph, the Otsina warriors are shown with an air of dignity and strength, evoking the spirit of resilience in the face of displacement. However, Curtis's depictions often focused on the noble savage trope, which, while showcasing Native Americans in a positive light, sometimes failed to acknowledge the complexity of their lived experiences, particularly as they navigated the challenges of life in a post-settlement world. The 1908 photograph of the Otsina warriors serves as a poignant reminder of a time when the indigenous peoples of the American plains were undergoing dramatic cultural shifts. By the early 20th century, many Native American tribes had already experienced the ravages of forced relocation, war, and the loss of their traditional ways of life. The image of these powerful warriors on horseback encapsulates both the beauty of indigenous culture and the tragedy of its decline during this period. It also highlights the profound resilience of Native communities as they adapted and survived in a rapidly changing world, despite the cultural and physical pressures placed upon them.
In 1911, a starving man emerged from the wilderness near Oroville, California, marking the end of an era. He was the last known member of the Yahi, a subgroup of the Yana people who had once thrived in the region, before being decimated by settler violence, disease, and displacement during the California Gold Rush. Unable to live in seclusion any longer, he was taken in by anthropologists at the University of California, Berkeley. When asked his name, he replied that he had none. Yahi tradition held that one could not speak their own name unless formally introduced by another member of their tribe. With no other Yahi left to do so, he simply became the man with no name. The anthropologists, recognizing the cultural weight of this, gave him the name Ishi, which means man in the Yana language. Ishi spent the remainder of his life in San Francisco, working at the university's museum, where he demonstrated traditional Yahi crafts and shared what knowledge he could of his people's language and way of life. His presence was both a rare ethnographic opportunity and a tragic reminder of the genocide inflicted upon Native peoples in the United States. To this day, Ishi is remembered not just as the last wild Indian, a term he was often labeled with, but as a symbol of cultural survival, dignity, and the devastating cost of colonization.
Henry David Thoreau, whose cry was simplify, went to great measures to prove to himself, and perhaps to society, that life could be lived in the most simple manner and at the least expense. With only a few dollars, he managed to provide for himself the things of absolute necessity for quite a long period of time. Not many of us would care to exist on the absolute necessities. We have become too much accustomed to easier living. Things that were once thought of as luxuries are now considered necessities. And yet, with all of this, life is anything but simple. We seem to have the ability to complicate the best laid plans and find ourselves shadowboxing. Like many of the trite old adages, life is what we make it, is so true. By our own minds we accept or reject. By ignoring or by searching out the causes of shadows and removing the cause. It is whatever we elect to do about our individual lives that makes the difference. But we shall make great strides when we recognize the supreme excellence in all things of simplicity. We don't need to worrying about doing without the necessary things in life. If we have a grateful heart is not just remembering to write a few words to someone who has done a kindness, or saying thank you graciously and at the right moment. A grateful heart is the feeling of great blessings which precedes that thank you note, and that verbal expression. A grateful heart is one that always knows the fullness of that rich feeling of first being grateful without cause, and then all other gratitude and its expression comes naturally. Perhaps true gratitude is a grateful, though toward heaven that I should be chosen to fill this spot, do this work, and have been given the strength to do it. It was Romain, the English theologian, who said, "Gratitude to God makes even a temporal blessing a taste of heaven." We can have so much more heaven with a grateful heart. The Sentinel, 1905, one of the earliest examples by a Montana photographer of pictorialism, a print that emphasized tonality and composition over documentation. Richard Throssell lived on the Crow, Absolute Reservation and had worked with Edward S. Curtis that year. Curtis's influence was visible in the image. An unidentified older man wore a headdress and carried a stick. Wind was blowing from behind. I will update text if the writer's identity is learned. The scene was heavily retouched by Throssell. He added all the sky's features, as well as highlights to the horse's breast decoration and to the garment that was draping the rider. Text and digital restoration of photo by Gary Coffrin. As always, I hope PC users will click image to enlarge, clarify,